On March 22, 1999, the police received a call where a woman claims that she was abducted, and much more by a couple. When the authorities went to investigate this couple, they discovered the most sadistic and depraved person they ever met, a serial killer. This is the case of David Parker Ray, the depraved toy box killer. David Parker Ray was born on November 6, 1939, in Belen, New Mexico. His father, Cecil Ray, was a mechanic and native of Oregon, and his mother was Nettie Parker. During his childhood, Ray and his younger sister, Peggy Pearl Ray, lived with his mother's disciplinarian parents, Russell and Dolly Parker, on a small ranch due to their poor financial condition. He was sporadically visited by his violent, alcoholic father, who would supply him with magazines depicting sadomasochistic pornography. At Monternair High School in Monternair, he was bullied by his peers of his shyness around girls, which resulted in him abusing alcohol and other drugs. Ray's sexual fantasies of raping, torturing, and even murdering women developed during his teenage years, when Ray was 14 years old. His sister saw his sadomasochistic drawings in pornography pictures of bondage. As a result, Ray and his sister became estranged. Based on statements made by Ray, he is believed to have begun assaulting a woman as an adolescent. In an advisory message that it was tape recorded by Ray on July 23, 1993, he claimed, "I've been raping bitches ever since I was old enough to track off and tie little girls' hands behind their back." He even alleged to his first wife that he had committed his first homicide sometime in 1957 when he kidnapped a woman, tied her to a tree, and tortured and murdered her. However, authorities were unable to verify these accounts. After completing high school, Ray received an honorable discharge from the United States Army, where his service included work as a general mechanic. Ray then worked as a maintenance man for the New Mexico Parks Department for the entirety of his adulthood, until he was arrested. The resort town, located approximately 5 miles from Elephant Butte, New Mexico, contains several local bars, which Ray frequented for victims. Ray met 37-year-old Cindy Wendy, who worked at a state park in True or Consequence, New Mexico, and who was accumulating convictions on grand theft and drug charges in Washington state. They became romantically involved and bonded over their shared violent sexual fantasies. In a 1993 recorded message, Ray told his captives that they would be forced to sexually serve Wendy as well. Ray was divorced 4 times and had 2 children. One of them is accomplice, Glenda Ray, his daughter. Glenda had tried to warn the FBI about her father's criminal activity in 1986. FBI agent Doug Beldon recalled Glenda's claim. She alleged that David Ray was abducting and torturing women and selling them to buyers in Mexico. However, the allegations were so non-specific that the FBI were unable to arrest Ray. Ray sexually tortured and presumably killed his victims using whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, leg spread bars, surgical blades, electric shock machines, and saws. It is thought that he terrorized many women with these tools for many years with the help of accomplices, some of whom were alleged to have been several of the women he was dating. Ray's torture room was a repurposed, soundproofed cargo trailer located immediately outside his Elephant Butte property, and was called the Toy Box by Ray, along with numerous sex toys, torture implements, syringes, and detailed diagrams showing ways of inflicting pain. There was a homemade electrical generator to electrocute his victims. In total, Ray is believed to have spent $100,000 on the trailer. Reportedly, Ray constructed elaborate contraptions to confine his victims, such as fur line, coffin, and a makeshift Polaroid. In addition, There was also elaborate locks and pulleys to prevent his captives from escaping. A mirror was mounted in the ceiling above the obstructive table to which he strapped his victims, so that they would be able to see themselves raped and tortured. He has been said to have wanted his victims to see everything he was doing to them. Ray also put his victims in wooden contraptions that bent them over and immobilized them, while he had his dogs and sometimes other friends rape them. Ray often had an audio tape recording of his voice played for his victims whenever they regained conscience. In the transcriptions of his tapes, Ray detailed how he would occasionally release his captives, abandoning them by the side of a country road after severely drugging them with barbiturates to induce amnesia, which would prevent them from reporting to assaults. I get off on mind games after we get completely through with you. You are going to be drugged up real heavy with a combination of sodium, pentothal, and phenobarbital. They are both hypnotic drugs that will make you extremely susceptible to hypnosis. You're gonna be kept drugged a couple of days while I play with your minds. By the time I get through brainwashing you, you're not gonna remember a fucking thing about this little adventure. He would kidnap about 4 or 5 women a year, holding each of them captive for around 2 or 3 months. Exactly how many murder victims Ray claimed over the year is uncertain. Investigators believe that he raped, tortured, and killed up to 60 individuals over the course of his life, but they have not been able to locate any of the remains. There was a diary that Ray kept detailed what he did to each victim, but he did not disclose where he buried their bodies. According to accomplice Cindy Wendy, Ray's fatal victims were dismembered and buried, dumped in the Elephant Butte Lake or in nearby ravines. After his arrest, Ray agreed to show authorities where he had buried his victims, but he died before he could do so, and Wendy was unable to assist investigators in recovering any possible bodies. Some suspected victims are Billy Bowers of 53 that disappeared in Phoenix, Arizona on September 25, 1988. On September 28, 1989, the body of an unknown man wrapped in a blue tarp was found by a fisherman at Elephant Butte Lake. No identification was found on him. It was determined that he had been shot in the back of the head. The unidentified body was ultimately identified as Billy in March 1999, when authorities made dental records comparisons. In 1986, Billy was a co-worker of Canal Motors, a used car business. The owners employed Ray, who worked as a mechanic and was described as very talented, but was also often in conflict with Billy. While incarcerated, Wendy stated that Ray told her he had killed Billy and dumped his body in the Elephant Butte Lake. Another victim was the 20-year-old Jill Troyer. She was last seen at a Frontier restaurant during the late evening of September 30, 1995. She had gone to a bar with friends earlier, then went with her girlfriend Glenda Ray to the restaurant. Witness reported Glenda and Jill had an argument. Glenda later told police she left Jill at the restaurant and left with her father Ray, and that she and him went to the Elephant Butte Reservoir. Jill was never been heard from again. Ray wrote detailed accounts of sexual tortures and burials of victims, including one in which he described an Asian woman who fits Jill's description. Among the possessions associated with victims was a 2-page letter dated June 1990 to a young woman named Connie from an Australian man named Mark. According to Ray's journal, Connie was a white woman that he abducted and tortured in December 1995. She was 18, had long blonde hair, a birthmark on her chest, and was 160 centimeters tall. The Australian Federal Police and FBI conducted an investigation, hoping to locate Mark so he would be able to identify Connie and her family and friends, but were unable to do so. Her remains have not been located or linked to an existing unidentified or missing person case. Sylvia Mary Parker, 22, was a homeless woman living on the shores of Elephant Pit Lake, who was an acquaintance of Ray's via his daughter, who supplied her with methamphetamine and cocaine. Sylvia was also a mother of 2 children and was living with them in a tent she had borrowed from Ray. The police later discovered that Sylvia's boyfriend at the time was Dennis Wency, one of Ray's playmates. Sylvia disappeared on July 5, 1997, when she was abducted and subjected to several days of torture before accomplice Wency strangled her to death under orders by Ray. Wency took police to where he disposed of the body with Ray and Glenda, but the body had been moved. Wency suspected and the police supported the theory that Ray came back to move the body later in case Wency ever had a softening on his conscience and confess. At 10:30 a.m. on June 30, 1999, Ralph Dotter, a 61-year-old, was fishing in the Elephant Pit Lake. Caught on Ralph's fishing line was an 80-pound gunny sack filled with what he thought was animal flesh. The sack was split along its seams. He then suspected it was a human body parts and alerted the authorities. The gunny sack was determined to contain human flesh but no organs or bones. This meant that the undivided victim was mutilated and dismembered before being dumped in the lake. Allegedly, Ray said, "The thing to do is cut them down the belly, scoop out their guts, fill the chest cavity with cement weights, and then use baling wire to wrap them up." Furthermore, state police found bone fragments in Elephant Pit Lake belonging to a human leg in 2011. The DNA identified the victim as a female, but she was not linked to any reported missing woman. Cynthia Vigil was abducted from an Albuquerque parking lot by Ray and his girlfriend, Cindy Wendy. She was taken to Elephant Pit, confined to the trailer where she was sexually abused and tortured. After 3 days of captivity, Cynthia escaped from the trailer on March 22, 1999. To escape, she waited until Ray had gone to work, and then unlocked her chains with keys that Cindy had left on a nearby table. Wendy noticed Cynthia's attempt to escape and a fight unfolds. During the struggle, Wendy broke a lamp on the captive's head, but Cynthia unlocked her chains and stabbed Wendy in the neck with an ice pick. Cynthia fled while wearing only an iron slave collar and padlock chains. She ran down the road seeking help, which she got from a nearby homeowner who took her in, comforted her, and called the police. Her escape led officials to the trailer and instigated the capture of Ray and his accomplice. Another victim, Angelica Montano, came forward with a similar story of Cynthia. She said she had been held captive by Ray after Wendy invited her to the house to pick up a cake mix. After being raped and tortured, Angelica convinced the pair to release her along the highway. She was picked up by an off-duty law enforcement officer and told him what happened, but he did not believe her and left her at a bus stop. She also later called police about the incident, but there had been no follow-up. Police also identified another victim, Kelly Garrett, from a videotape which dated from 1996. Kelly was found alive in Colorado after police identified her from a tattoo on her ankle. She testified that she had gotten in a fight with her husband and decided to spend the night playing ball with friends. Ray's daughter Glenda, who knew Kelly, took her to the Blue Water Saloon in New Mexico and may have drank the beer she was drinking. She offered Kelly a ride home but instead took her to her father's house. Kelly said she endured 2 days of torture before Ray drove her back to her home. Ray told her husband that he had found the woman inconscious on the beach. Her husband did not believe that she could not remember where she had been, and Kelly said she did not know what to tell to police, and so didn't contact him. Her husband filed for divorce, and Kelly moved to Colorado, and later she was interviewed on cold case files about her experience. After the accusations, police detained Ray and Andy, and then the Federal Bureau of Investigation sent 100 agents to examine Ray's property and surroundings, but no identifiable human remains were found. While awaiting trial, Ray spoke to FBI profilers and said that he was fascinated by the kidnapping of Colin Stan and other sexually motivated kidnappings. The FBI had spoken to Ray as early as 1989 in connection with his business manufacturing and selling bondage-related sexual devices. A judge ruled that the cases from crimes against Cynthia Vigil, Angelica Montano, and Kelly Garrett would be severe, meaning that Ray would be tried for each separately. Prosecutors said this damaged their case as each human story would otherwise have corroborated and boosted the other's accounts. The judge also ruled much of the evidence found in the trailer during the 1999 raids could not be admitted in the Kelly or Angelica cases, including Ray's audio tape in which he gave detailed descriptions of his abducting and torturing habits. The first trial for crimes against Kelly resulted in a mistrial after two jurors said they found her story unbelievable. Ray's defense was that sex trailer was part of Ray's fantasy life and any sex was consensual. But sometime after, there was a retrial and Ray was convicted on all 12 counts. A week into his trial for crimes against Cynthia, Ray agreed to a plea bargain and was sentenced in 2001 to 224 years in prison for numerous offenses in the abduction and sexual torture of 3 young women at his Elephant Butte home. The plea deal was to obtain leniency for his daughter. Prosecutors stated that the surviving victims had approved of the deal. Ray's daughter Glenda was charged with kidnapping and criminal sexual penetration. She pled no contest and received a 30-month sentence with an additional 5 years to be served on probation. In 1999, 27-year-old accomplice Dennis Wency pleaded guilty to the 1997 murder of 20-year-old Sylvia Parker. Wency confessed to helping Glenda lure Sylvia into captivity in her father's trailer. Wency said that Sylvia was tortured and that Ray forced him to strangle the woman to death. Prosecutors noted that no forensic evidence was found to tie Sylvia to Ray's, so they were not charged in Sylvia's murder. It ended up with Wency being charged with kidnapping, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit a crime, and tampering with evidence, so he was sentenced to 30 years. In 2000, Wendy, an accomplice who testified against Ray, received a sentence of 36 years for her role in the crimes. She was scheduled to receive parole in 2017. She was released on July 15, 2019, after serving 2 years of her parole in prison. On May 28, 2002, Ray was taken to Leo County Correctional Facility to be questioned by state police, but he died of an heart attack before the interrogation took place. Cynthia later founded Street Safe New Mexico, a volunteer harm reduction non-profit that works with sex workers and other vulnerable people living on the street, with Christine Barber. That is all we know about the Toy Box Killer case. Until today, there are still unidentified victims that will never have an honorable funeral. Tell me what you think about the accomplice of David that helped him pick victims and then discarded their bodies. And what about the officers that discarded some victims' allegations? Well, that's it. Leave a like and comment other crimes that you'd like to see here. Bye!